Pick one word that describes this season and why.
Probably inconsistent. You know, we had a group that had some really good stretches and some good games, and some nights when we were on, you know, we gave some teams a real hard time. But we had a difficult time doing that consistently for longer stretches, and that you know, that probably goes down as the theme of our season.
Did you accomplish everything you wanted to in your second year as coach?
No, not at all. You know, I think going into the year, the goal was to have a successful year on the ice, to hopefully, you know, crack through and get past the first round of playoffs. And I think, you know, everyone in our room would have told you it was, you know, a disappointing result just in terms of the wins and losses. And that said, there were some positives. We had a really good group of guys. We had a lot of good young players that I think moving forward are going to be good BCHL players. But overall, no, I think, you know, I think we fell short of most of our competitive goals coming into the year.
Amanda Parkin asks, are there any prospects for goalies next year?
Yeah, absolutely. Nolan Kursiba, our goaltending coach, he's been working hard, you know, all through the year, knowing that John Hawthorne, as a 20-year-old, would be moving on. Nolan's got a bunch of guys lined up for our spring camps in Port Alberni, Cranbrook, and Osoyoos, and there's a number of guys that we're excited about seeing.
Most memorable moment at home and on the road?
At home would probably be the game that we played against Kazakhstan. With a full house, just the atmosphere that night. It was a pretty cool and unique experience getting to play a team like that was preparing for the World Juniors, then being able to watch them on TSN, you know, for a couple of weeks after that. There was also a home game against Chilliwack, you know, a pretty good team in our league that we won in November. That was a memorable one. I think on the road you'd probably look at a couple of the games that we won, big games in our division. An overtime game in Powell River, a couple of times down in Victoria. You know, for a team that didn't win a ton of games on the road, we had some success within our division, including some memorable victories.
Troy Croteau asks, what will be the team's biggest need in the off-season be?
I think we lose some pretty big players for us. You know, up front we lose our top two scorers in Keaton Mastrodonato and Ryan Miotto. That's a lot of goals and points that are coming out of our lineup. So guys are going to have to step into those roles. We're going to have to find some guys who can step in and be part of the solution offensively. We lose our captain in Marcus Walter, a guy who brought us a lot of leadership and played a lot of minutes on defense. So that's a big hole that we need to fill. And obviously in goal, John Hawthorne was our team MVP and a guy that gave us a shot to win, you know, most nights out. So, you know, we've got some veteran guys moving on, and we need to find the guys, whether that's internally here within our room or guys that we bring in who are new players that are going to be able to fill the void.
What off-season goals do you have?
I think from a team perspective, you're always looking to get better. You're looking to get through the spring camp process here, hopefully see some guys that are going to challenge to be a part of your team in the fall. And then through the summer as a coach, you know, you're always looking to improve and get better. You know, reevaluate the season that you just had and yourself as a coach, and look at new and different ways to have success the following season.
What do you see as the future of the team?
I think the future is really bright. You know, we had a young group this year. We certainly had some growing pains, but we've got a lot of guys that are eligible to come back next season, and I think a lot of those guys are going to take really significant steps to move up our lineup, to take on bigger roles and bigger responsibilities. You know, we know that we play in a place with a lot of great community support and fan support. So I think, you know, as disappointing as some aspects of the season were, we're really excited for getting most of our group back and doing better next year.
Bev Frolic asks, what will it take to produce a more winning team?
You know, I mentioned consistency, just the first question that you asked me, and I think that's probably something that you have a lot of control over as a group, just in terms of making sure that you bring your best effort every night. We had a bit of a tough time scoring goals this year. I think, you know, having a team next year that's able to put the puck in the net a little more often would certainly be a positive for us. But like I say, a lot of the pieces are already in place here, and there's a lot of reasons to feel good going into next season.
Jody Mastronato asks, what did John, Ryan, Keaton, and Marcus bring to the Bulldogs?
Well, all of them were big pieces of our team and brought different things. Ryan and Keaton were our two top scorers, guys that we could count on, night in, night out to get us going offensively and lead the way there. They were both really big pieces of our power play, and our power play was really good for us this season. They're also just great guys, professional guys who show up every day, ready to work and set a good example for their younger teammates. Marcus is our captain. He was our emotional leader and a big piece of what we had going on defense. I mentioned before he played a lot of big minutes. It's tough to play 23, 25 minutes a night in this league and play on the power play and the penalty kill. Marcus did the job for us in all situations. And then obviously with John, one of the better goaltenders in the league. I don't think there's a goalie in the league we would have traded him for. He was a leader in the room, just a great guy in the community and tremendous for us on the ice.
Do you have any words of wisdom for these players?
Yeah, all four of those guys are moving on to NCAA hockey. It gets tougher from here, but they've all earned their way there. They've all been really successful at this level. Now they have the opportunity to move up to college hockey. You end up in most cases, going from being a top line player or a top defenseman or a starting goalie to kind of having to earn your way back into those roles as a first year player, as a freshman. I think all four of those guys have the ability to do it and have really successful college careers, and we're excited to cheer them on from a distance.
What will you miss from these guys?
Probably, first of all, just what quality people they are. Those are four guys that made it fun and satisfying as a coach to show up to the rink each day. John and Keaton as guys who were here for 2 seasons, you get to know those guys really well and develop relationships. And then Marcus and Ryan, even though they were just here for 1 season, they were both such good people and did so much for us in the room, on the ice, and in the community. You wish those guys well, but you certainly miss having them around.
What's next for the Bulldogs organization?
I think we're at the time of year now where you go into your spring camps, you get your recruiting done. It's a big few months for us in terms of making sure that what we have coming to main camp in August is the makings of a good competitive team. So even though the season's done and we're not on the ice at this point in the year, the work's still going on behind the scenes, and you're still working hard day in, day out to make sure we have the right guys coming in the door.
Are there any local prospects on the Bulldogs' radar?
I think we'll get a really good idea of that next weekend in our spring camp here in Port Alberni. We haven't had a Port Alberni player on the team since Ezra Paddock, our first season here, so 2017-18. But we have had a good mix of guys from the island. Josh Zeri and Ethan Jones from Nanaimo, and Ryan Novakoski from Courtney, and then guys like John Hawthorne and Isaac Tonkin-Palmer and Jackson Doucette from further down the island. Really the purpose of our Port Alberni camp is to see those top island players and hopefully be a step in the door for those guys. So we'll have a much better idea in about 2 weeks, but we're certainly looking forward to seeing more of those island players.
Katherine Lloyd asks, any good pranks been played this year?
I wouldn't be the guy to ask in terms of in the dressing room. Leave the guys to that. One that jumps to mind though, during practice early in the season, one of our assistant coaches, Jamie Waslin, we were doing a drill where the coaches had to jump in and sort of mimic our neutral zone forecheck. And so Jamie comes off the ice and I jump on into that drill, and he tells me, oh, by the way, Matt wants you to do something different. He wants you to go to point A instead of point B. And being silly, I trusted him. And about 10 seconds later, screwed up the drill, and I had Matt yelling at me because I listened to the wrong guy. So I promise I'll get him back though.